Hello. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deeper look at the new moon in Libra. But we're not just going to pay attention to the new moon in Libra. We're also going to take a look at a lot of these other little transits that are going into this, because really, a lot of the energy this week going around this new moon feels like seven layered dip. I want to call it a cake, but I don't call it a cake. And some of us, we don't like seven layer dip because we don't like all the mix of the textures and everything. And the thing about this week is there's going to be a lot of mixed textures, irritability, things that don't seem to make sense. And there's a lot of this new moon that directly sets the stage and leads into future transits. And some of those future transits also have their own tie ins to stuff that's going to go on for quite a few months. If you've been listening to me for a while, you know what I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about some of the other transits real quick that's going on around this new moon as to all the different layers of said dip. We have the Mercury Mars conjunction. I have beat this transit up. I've been warning about it because it is the first in the series of five, and it has a lot of volatility to it. It has a lot of change to it, but it also feels like very rapid change. The Mercury Mars conjunction. Two, that Mercury Mars conjunction happens directly before the new moon. Immediately afterwards, there is that Jupiter Chiron square. But last week, specifically on the Friday, so October 17th, before this new moon, we actually had a T square between the Sun, Chiron, and Jupiter. So there's something that got activated. For some people, it was a risk energy. That's what I was talking about that in that particular weekly episode. Is there's like, we have to take the risk. We have to do something different. In a lot of ways, we have to do the opposite of what we would normally do, because this is what's going to help us overcome our frustrations. This is what's going to help us get over the wound. This is what's going to help us deal with some things. However, big however here, a lot of the risks in the decision making that are going to be coming through directly around this new moon is going to encompass a lot of restructuring that we will be focusing on over the course of the rest of the year. This is the first phase, October. I said this back in the month ahead episode, is the first phase of something that we will be more likely to launch, debut, put forward in the new year. But we're in the first phase of making changes to solidify something. And this new moon speaks to solidifying part of a risk, part of a hope, part of where our focus is going to be. Because again, we need to get prepared for what our new normal is going to be going into 2026. But right now, as much as we need to make structural changes, there's also this energy around this new moon, specifically about clearing the playing field, balancing some things out. Now, you can hear balancing and think, okay, well, that means we can level something out between me and so and so. We're not always going to like the balancing out. The thing about the sun being in Libra is the sun is said to be in its fall, not its detriment, but it's not a happy place either. So whenever it comes to things that satisfy our ego, we're not going to get a whole lot of that. And considering this new moon is in Libra and the ruler of Libra, Venus, is also in Libra, but she ain't doing anything. It really speaks to there is an energy starting, solidifying, being decided upon this week that is going to take us into something new, i.e., and also something old. I don't know why I said i.e. just then. Something new. But as we get more and more into the new, we're also going to have to deal with something from the past. We got to deal with something old. And so much of the rest of this year is about unfinished business of what we need to resolve, what we need to clear out, what we need to overcome, what we need to finally heal from, what we need to finally squash, what we finally need to stop beating up on in some way so we can focus on something new. Earlier this summer, we got glimpses of something new. We did. But for us to really hone in and step into what that new is going to be, there's a set of restructured energy that's necessary to help us get into the full elements of what our new is going to be in 2026. And that's just the first round. That's just the first chapter. That's just the first set of stages. And it is going to be a very busy, busy year, just like 2025 has been busy. Now, one meaning to go that much into a tangent. I want to focus on all of the major transits that are happening this week. Whenever I do everybody's signs, I will focus on the new moon and where it's at. I will focus on Mercury and Mars and where it's at for each sign. But I will also look at that Chiron Jupiter. And the thing about the Mercury, Mars, and the Chiron Jupiter is these two separate transits that are not aspecting each other are the first in the series of transits that will take us all the way into next year. And that tells me whatever we start to begin in this new moon, what we agree to, what we solidify, it will take months to make it make sense, to make it fully ready. It will take months, not quite a full year, to get us where we want to be, get us to where we need to be, for us to feel more hopeful, more settled, more in alignment. The thing about big adaptations and changes, big shifts in gears that take you into a new direction, it's not an overnight thing. This is not just one overnight energy that we're in. We have a plethora of transits that are going on. And some of the new, specifically now around this new moon, we're doing without certain support, without certain authority, without somebody involved. It's like, I'm going to do this new thing, but don't tell your mama. Don't tell dad. Don't tell the boss. Don't tell him what I'm working on. Don't tell him what I'm doing. I'll show him when I'm ready. We'll put it out there together. We'll make it make sense at the right time. But I need some part of this to be able to be worked on and focused on without any interruptions. Will there be attempts? Absolutely. But do we need or want the interruption at this time? No. The reason I specifically use that terminology about like we don't want somebody involved, there's some parts of what we're doing is like we're not doing it in front of another person. We're not completely open about it. Is this new moon is in a quincunx to Saturn. Now, quincunx is an energy where we do not see eye to eye. There is an obstruction here. That obstruction can be like something is going on, or we're going to start to do something again without mom and dad's approval. It's going to happen sometimes. We're going to be wanting to do something, but we don't want that interference. Like I said, for some people, it's you're going to start to do something and you did tell them, but they didn't agree. They told you flat out, I'm not paying for it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want that responsibility. I ain't got time for it right now. Go do it on your own. And you know actively you're doing something without someone's help, without someone's approval. But you need to take the risk. You feel confident that this is the risk worth taking. This is the attempt of trying to do something because this feels right. This feels hopeful. This feels very, very aligned, putting it in that terminology. There's something that we're feeling called to do. Now, some of us, the calling will not be exactly on this new moon. Let me be very clear about that. We have so many other transits that are happening this week. If you feel an energy pull, and sometimes that terminology, I know you guys don't even realize you're feeling like a grab, but whenever you're so, it's almost like manic in some ways of like, I've got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get it figured out. I got to get it done. I got to get it out of the way. There's something about our energy that feels, I gotta. That's an energy grab. A lot of the times that can be an energy grab. Like there's a reason we're so hyper focused on that at that time. There's a reason we absolutely have to get this done right stinking now. It can't wait till next week. Next week is going to be too late. Why is it too late? I don't know. But next week is too late. Some of us are going to have those types of energies in and around this new moon. It's not because of the new moon, it's more because of Mercury, Mars, but we're going to feel that type of thing in and around this new moon. Now, we see a solution, we see a possibility of something that can take us into somewhere new. Some of us, we are not making a joyful, easy choice to do something new. Some of us are being forced to do something new. I don't want responsibility of you anymore. I don't want to take care of you anymore. I don't want to deal with your shit anymore. I'm done. And the thing is, in the build up to the Mercury Mars conjunction, in the build up to this new moon, in the build up to the Chiron Jupiter square, there's something in that vibration where there has been forced cuts. And I know a lot of people in the last few weeks, some of the disruption in the buildup of Mercury Mars has been around jobs, has been around careers, it's been around a certain decision and a certain path. And the one thing that I will say about the new normal of next year is a lot of you are going to have to go into different industries. And if you know that now, it's going to make it easier to start to shift your gears. Now, some of you are going to hear that and be like, I'm not shifting gear. I'm not going in another direction. No. I don't need all that. I'll have a job next week. If you do, congratulations. I'm happy for you. If you don't, I'm warning you. A lot of the new normal is going to push many of us into new industries and new ways of making money, new ways of succeeding, new ways of taking care of ourselves. It's going to shift us into new directions, into new places, into new ideas, into something new. Those that are resistant to change, that don't necessarily know how to pick up on the signals, you haven't read the signals, you chose to ignore the symbols in the universe of like, hey, maybe we should try something else. Maybe, hey, there's a job opportunity. You interested? No, because you don't like change. Nah. Some of those opportunities were there to guide you gently. And if we didn't listen to the gentle guides, then we have force. And for some people around this new moon, there will be force. That you don't have certain responsibilities the same way anymore. You do not have certain rules put against you anymore. You do not have to listen to this authority figure anymore. You don't have to square off about something anymore because forced release has happened. I do not expect that all directly during the new moon. We've had a build up in energy going into this new moon. We'll have a build down, dwindling, so to speak. But there's something about this week and the arrival of something new, the focus of something new that's going to lead into some additional directions of necessary restructuring that will again encompass a lot of the rest of the year. And I'm making you aware that the energy of this week, the 7-layer dip that it is, for some of you, it's going to be incredibly tasty. For others of you, you're going to be looking at going, why did you mix beans with corn? I don't like that. I don't like the look of it. You got to taste it. You got to give it a shot. You got to try. There's risk to this new moon. There's a leveling of the playing field in this new moon. And that leveling out isn't necessarily going to go in everyone's favor. There's going to be some people, they don't like the vibration. They don't like the energy. I'm warning you of that. But there's also going to be something very surreal that follows this new moon because, again, Neptune is going to retrograde back into Pisces. So watch how things are unfolding. There's that. Okay. If you have never heard a new moon or full moon episode with me before, that is okay. First things first, I pull cards on all the different signs, and I do post pictures of these cards on Facebook and on Instagram. I've been really bad about telling people that. A lot of you do know that because you follow me on the social medias, and you are able to go get your screenshot of your cards. Some of you, I'm just letting you know, I read everything from a whole house system. I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees, whatever zodiac sign your ascendant falls in, that entire zodiac sign is your first house. And then every numerical house that follows will be associated with the next zodiac sign. I don't read this from a Placidus system or any of the others. I'm just letting everybody know that I read this from whole house because there's always question about that. And then, of course, I blend Hellenistic, modern, and Vedic studies all together whenever based off of like where my intuition takes me at that time. So, with that being said, moving straight into it, for Aries and Aries risings, this is a new moon in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. There's something very specific about the other side, them wanting to start something. But for you, that start can be something around transformation. That start can be something around death. That start can be something about a missed opportunity from before. There can be something that you see with another person that kind of triggers an insecurity in you. There's a reason I'm specifically saying that. And then there can be a lot of energy that starts to unfold, again, tied to the other side, that gives you the first inklings of retreat or becoming aware of death. Now, I kind of warned about the death thing before with you guys, and there's a specific reason as to why. And that is because as we continue into the rest of October, going into November, a lot of transits are going to be going between your 12th house and your 8th house. This Mars Mercury conjunction, it's in your 8th house. That is death, debt, taxes, inheritance, insurance payouts, legal payouts. You could have some kind of legal filing against you that you're going to end up having to pay for. You could have, whether it's something that you're responsible for or not, it's a very different conversation. But there is something very matter of fact in this energy regarding finances, debts, ledgers, something tied to other people that is going to be coming to the forefront, mainly because of this Mercury Mars conjunction and Mars being your chart ruler. The other thing that's going on, of course, is that Chiron Jupiter square. Chiron is in your first house. And many of you might be dealing with something in regards to trying to find a solution that's best for everyone in the family because of Jupiter in the fourth house. Now, the thing about where Jupiter's at in the fourth house is he's in an area where Mars was retrograde earlier this year. And a lot of the things that Jupiter has been touching on has been expanding in areas where there has been scorched earth once before, where Mars did damage. Jupiter's bringing more awareness. It's teaching us some lessons. It's trying to heal something, but it can't get everything healed all at once. Jupiter is in shadow. He will be going retrograde over this area. So there's more than one layer of solutions and healing that needs to be played out. And again, a lot of the transits around this new moon of this week specifically tells me that it's going to take a lot more than one situation, one conversation for us to be able to finally overcome what has been missed. So we have this Four of Cups and we have this Strength card. There's something about either a missed opportunity, something about the past that we didn't take on, or we did agree to, but now it's like we regret part of what we agreed to before, that is starting to really test your resiliency. And that Mercury Mars conjunction can make you very irritable, especially if the wrong information is presented. It really kind of depends on what comes to light in this vibration, because we also have this Star card and we have the Knight of Cups. So a lot of your cards are actually like very, very beneficial, but got a lot of the transits seem to trigger something towards more of like long-term healing, long-term change, long-term overcoming. There's something about transformation. There's stepping back into prior things. so we can then bring something more forward, more dominant later on. And no matter how we're looking at this energy, whether you're looking for one thing in particular or you're seeing the whole play out of how everything is going faster than you can realize. All gas, no brakes with this Chariot card. There's something about this energy that's like everything is in motion exactly the way that it's supposed to be. Whether you like the vibration or not, everything is in motion exactly as it's supposed to be. There's going to be a lot of things shifting around you. There's going to be a lot of decisions that are starting to get made that are going to bring certain insecurities of yours to the forefront. A lot of this is going to test you in a lot of ways as to whether you made the right decisions in the past and whether you're ready to take on some level of responsibility moving into the future. Now, whatever that responsibility is, there's a lot of luck that can be on your side with the Six of Cups energy. There can be a lot of things that are going to be connected and well-rounded, and it'll work out well for you with the way you connect to certain people, but it's not necessarily all going to work out in the immediate as a well-rounded connection. Use your intuition whenever it comes to some of the news coming out. If you immediately are okay with some of the news, understand that you're not seeing everything clearly. If there's some kind of news, decision, legal matter that comes to the forefront, something tied to a partnership or a contract that comes to the forefront, just know that you're not seeing everything clearly. Everything that they're stating is not necessarily exactly how things are going to go. And in the long run, the level of responsibility that you're going to have to step into and that you're going to have to take over isn't easily going to be seen in the initial announcements, in the initial news, in the initial uncovering of this new moon. So the best thing I can tell you guys to do is take a step back and let some things happen with other people on their own. Let them do what they need to do. Let them hang themselves. It's okay. All right. Moving along. For Taurus and Taurus risings, this is a new moon in your sixth house of health. How you care for yourself, how you care for other people, how you are of service. It can have to do with pets. It can have to do with things at work and in that work routine. There can be something that's going on with other people that you work with that is going to result in some level of disruption and some level of tension and some level of arguments. We can have some kind of decision being made by another person that starts something new in your routine, in your work elements, in your environment, that it shifts something new into place, that you have to learn something. There's something that can really test your resiliency. The thing about what's going on right now is your chart ruler isn't really doing anything. So I feel like for a lot of the Libra risings and Taurus risings, well, more Taurus risings than Libra, but a lot of this energy is like it's unfolding and it's happening around you, but not because of you. I think it's going to lead to certain things being reviewed later on, especially whenever it comes to the people you surround yourself with. But more of this energy is focused on the other side. It's not you directly, but it can put a lot of overwhelm as to who's in charge and who should be doing what. There's always the focus with you guys that we want to be doing the right things to make our money. We have the Page of Coins right here. You like security on all levels: financial security, physical security, environmental security. You want to feel safe. The thing about this energy is if your money is starting to get messed with, you are not going to feel safe. If the initial energy doesn't seem like it's going to mess with your money, eventually it will. And when I say eventually, I mean in less than the next 2 months. Very quickly, it will start to impact your money in ways that you aren't necessarily going to be able to understand at first. So understand that some of the decisions, we have this Judgment card, is going to be something that is going to test your resiliency. We also have the Strength card. The people that are in charge, the people that are making this decision, the people that are enacting certain things, this Emperor energy kind of follow there. They might not have all their ducks in a row, but it is going to be something that, again, starts to immediately impact the way that you connect with other people. And some of you might have made connections earlier in this year, made some commitments earlier in this year, started working somewhere, working with certain people, or doing something specifically with somebody else earlier this year. That after we get into this next sets of energy, that's kind of getting activated in this new moon, but it's not all direct in this new moon. It will have layers. So for some of you, there's going to be overwhelm, Seven of Cups. For others of you, there's going to be something that feels like betrayal, very depressing energy, very hard energy, because we have the Seven of Swords. Those two cards coming out together the way that they did tells me that some of what the other people start to do, some of what starts to happen is going to create another itch for you to be more independent of certain people. That's not immediate. But what will happen is once we get into November, which isn't that far away, is Uranus is going to retrograde back into Taurus. It's going to come back into your first house. And that energy where you want to be independent of certain people has this way of coming back around, making you realize maybe some of those initial rounds of commitment, maybe some of those initial rounds of connections in love or in friendship or in clients or in career, it wasn't what you thought it was. And there's going to be some reason for you to start restructuring something. Are you restructuring something right now? No, but the writing is likely going to be on the wall. The stuff that other people are doing is eventually going to come to a point where it starts pressing your buttons. And you might be slow to make certain decisions, but later on, whenever you're willing to make them, things will move very quickly. So there's that. Okay. We're going to move along. We're going to keep it going. We're going to get into Geminis and Gemini risings. Okay, my loves. This is a new moon in your fifth house of love and luck and joy and romance and happiness and children. However, your chart root is in that first conjunction to Mars in your sixth house of health, in this area of routine, in this area of what's going on with your pets. There can be a disruption with pets. There could be a disruption or a decision of something going on in your health that you have to then tell your loved ones. New moon in the fifth, Mercury, Mars in the sixth. Now, the other thing that's going on is that Chiron Jupiter square. Chiron in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues, making that square to Jupiter in your second house of money. There could be something that we want to start to change that is going to have a financial impact. There's going to be something that really you guys also got the strength card. Sorry, everybody so far, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, everybody got the strength card. And that just came out again with you guys. Interesting. There's something that is testing the resiliency. There is something that is testing the vibration. And there is going to be something where you realize that you may have got into something sooner than you needed to. And it's going to kind of force you guys into a retreat mode of not wanting to be connected to certain people in the same way. But it's just like that first round of energy. It's not supposed to feel that way. So it's feeling very conflicted for you guys. Because it feels like there's supposed to be something new going on and it should be happy. This is our fifth house of love and luck and joy and romance. But that Mercury Mars goes, no. And there's going to be certain tests of strength, certain tests of resiliency, certain tests in the energy, certain tests to our intuition, that it's going to be like the news of something, whether it is about your health, whether it's about a pet, whether it is about the health of a loved one, whether it is about something else in our routine, somebody that we surround ourselves with, somebody in our work environment. There's something in this vibration that makes us aware that we're getting very, very close to something being cut off or coming to an end. Why do I say that? Because the cards that came out, one, here's that strength card. I already talked about that. You guys got the strength card. So do the other two signs. So I feel like a lot of people are going to have this strength card. But what also came out was this 8 of Cups, which is talking about like walking away from things that no longer give us fulfillment and the 10 of Swords. Some of the news, some of the information that comes through from this new moon and moving forward is likely going to be something that leads to some level of transformation. And it really comes down to what you're feeling in your intuitions. We have this Death card and we have this High Priestess. Some of the news, especially if it's having to do with someone's health or your own health, might literally end up being like news that can be leading to death later on. I'm not saying everybody's dying. Make that very clear. But it can also be something like, hey, there's some kind of detrimental news in your health that if you don't make changes now, this is going to kill you. If you don't get off the sugar, if you don't get off of the oils because your triglycerides are up, there can be something in regards to like your arms or your legs or your gut health. There can be something that we have to drastically change in our diet, but it can't just change for you. It's got to change for other people. And for many of you, you're going to be the one that kind of leads the quest. We have this Queen of Coins energy also of like, we have to do something different. Now, for some of you, that's not going to be easy, but there can be some very interesting decisions or news based off the Mercury Mars. That again is the most exact on the 20th, but human effect is anywhere between the 15th and the 25th. This new moon is just one element of it, of something that we need to change. And it is then going to also impact how we connect with certain people. And it will lead to other changes even more so once we get into some of the deeper Sagittarius transits. This news doesn't just feel like something that's going to impact one day. This information, this unveiling, this vibration does not feel like it just impacts one day, one thing, one sign. There's a myriad of things going on, and it's going to have a bigger impact later on. This just feels like one big step towards what's going to be happening later. But considering with the Mercury Mars energy and Mercury being your chart ruler, you guys might be again a lot of the decision makers with that Queen of Coins vibration, going back to it, as to how some things are going to progress from here. You guys might be leading the charge in certain ways as to how something is going to continue from here. So be aware of that. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Cancers and Cancer risings. This is a new moon in your 4th house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, genetics. Not everybody includes the genetics with the 4th house. I do. I got my reasons. Genetics are a part of the 4th house too. Now, your chart ruler, of course, is the moon, and it is in this 4th house. What's interesting, though, is Jupiter in your 1st house going through that square with Chiron. Some of you might be looking at an area of life that needs to be fixed, something in your home life because of the new moon, something in your career that needs to get fixed, that needs to start to be worked on, that we need to make a decision for some of you to even teach something, to oversee something that we weren't overseeing before. There is something in this vibration that speaks to a level of change with how you're going to start connecting to people, but it's not an immediate energy of how you connect to people. In fact, it is going to take many, many months to get us to that point. And a lot of you are awakening to just how important the decision is going to be in the long-term effect, just how important all of this vibration is starting to be, and also what it's meant to you in your healing process. Now, some of you, given the fact that this is a new moon in the 4th house, some of that healing process might go back to your mom, to your childhood, to your own home life. And there's something about finally coming to terms with something and giving permission to someone to heal. I know that sounds really weird, but it's not permission. It might be forgiveness. There's something in here that is like you have to make some level of a decision. We have this Judgment card. We also have this Empress card. The Empress card is the mother of mothers. The actual Empress, or this new moon in the 4th, tied to the Empress card, like there can be something about the relationship with and around mothers or your home life or something that goes back to your childhood that we end up having to make certain decisions, make certain judgment calls, make certain priorities come to light, because we have this Two of Coins also, based off of how certain things are getting revealed. We have the Star card. There is something about the mess afterwards, what we wake up to afterwards, what we end up taking care of afterwards. And there is something that could be triggering levels of transformation. We have this Death card, so levels of transformation. But what I'm looking at as we continue forward is the healthy, expanded transformation in you. So I got your last card is the Nine of Cups, but I'm also going to grab this Empress card again, because we're going to talk about the layers of this Empress card. So again, Death card, we have the Nine of Cups, and we have this Empress card. And a lot of you had a lot of disruption that happened back during the Mars retrograde. That was scorched earth type of energy. But now that Jupiter is going over areas of the sky where Mars did have so much run of muck, so many things that happened, so many tests in our energy, Jupiter is coming through now and expanding upon that vibration. In some ways, it's healing. In other ways, it's giving us additional lessons and giving us an additional outlook, having a chance for us to make a different set of decisions that actually correlate very well in helping with our healing process. But there is an expansion of awareness and knowledge here. And for many people, there's something about this new moon. If we do give that level of forgiveness, or we do give permission, going off that kind of idea with the Judgment card, we give something forward to someone with the hope that it is going to allow for us to feel more stable, for us to feel more confident, for us to feel more comfortable. Is it going to happen overnight? No. I feel like there is a transformation that's getting initiated for many Cancer risings in this energy, especially with that Chiron Jupiter square, to finally heal from something, but it is not going to be something that you heal from overnight. And for many of you, it's going to take many, many months for that to make sense, for that to finally happen, for that to finally have a turnaround, for you to feel that level of confidence that you're needing to tap into, for you to not feel so much like an imposter in your own skin anymore. That level of confidence that we need to tap into. We haven't tapped into it yet. And here pretty soon, Jupiter is going to go retrograde in your first house. And I think that's going to be a whole different layer of reflection in your healing energy that you haven't tapped into quite yet. But some of the news, some of the decisions, some of the judgments around this new moon is going to be something that kind of instigates where you start to become reflective. And it will be the initiation of energy that will encompass the next few months. Okay, moving along. For Leos and Leo risings, this is a new moon in your third house of short distance travel, communication, education, something going on with your schooling, the kids' schooling, something in regards to travel, having to change something in our routine, specifically around commute, having to deal with something with our neighbors or our neighborhood. The third house can also have to do with neighbors. It can also have to do with siblings, having some kind of conversation around siblings. Now, that one seems to be like a big potential because we also have that Mars-Mercury conjunction in the fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, genetics, things that can go back to our home life, our family, what's gone on in the family closet, the things that are hidden in the family closet. I feel like for a lot of you guys, there's going to be something about insecurities and secrets that magically start to come through here pretty soon that's going to make you realize why certain behaviors have always been a thing. It's going to be something that helps you get out of a certain pattern, because so many of you can stay stuck in a certain way of thinking, in a certain behavior, that this is the tradition, this is the way it's always been. But the thing is whenever it comes to certain things around tradition, we can stay stuck in an old mindset over and over again just because that's our routine. That doesn't mean it was the right way of doing things. You're taught certain things as a child. Hear me out. That it is the best lesson based off of the healed versions of our parents at that time. The thing is, a lot of our parents never committed to healing, never committed to breaking psychological traits. They just kept doing the same behaviors that were forced upon them, and they never broke with tradition. Interesting cards here. We have the Hangman, the Hierophant, which has a lot to do with tradition. And again, we have the Devil card. Oh, the insecurity. Oh, the toxic behaviors. Oh, the way that we say certain things and we do certain things. The mean behavior of certain siblings, and yet our parents seem to egg it on in some ways. Like, yeah, you get them. You tell them. And there's something about this energy that it's like once one person says something, whether it's a cousin, a sibling, whoever, it's like you see the pattern of behavior that they stay in. They choose to stay in, Hangman, because it's tradition, because that's the way it is. And I feel like parts of this conversation, parts of this energy around you guys is like you're going to commit to something, but you're not even going to see the full elements of this behavior until later on, whenever there's something about community, about connection, school plays, holidays, whatever it is. Like we need to have the get together for you to be able to see everyone's behavior from a different light. And there's something again about the communication. Again, Mercury Mars conjunction. The Magician here is a mercurial card. We will have this Mercury Mars conjunction, and very, very quickly, right after Mercury goes retrograde in your fifth house of children, we will have another Mercury Mars conjunction. That's going to be on November 12th. There's something about this new moon that directly impacts some of the future transits. So I feel like there could be some kinds of agreements of something initially that we don't realize just how much we're going to see until we're connected to everybody. And a lot of this is going to be testing your resiliency, how you handle certain things. So we have the Strength card again. Multiple signs have already had the Strength card. There's something about letting certain things, certain behaviors, certain deep-seated wounds come to light after this new moon. Because again, so much of this is about leveling the playing field. Well, sometimes the people that have been able to be the home life bullies, the family bullies, need to be able to get checked and called out in a real way. And certain people need to be checked in regards to their toxic behavior. I feel like for you guys, as we start making commitments moving forward, going into the holidays and everything else, some of y'all are going to be breaking away from certain family traditions, certain family members that we're not going to want to put up with their shit anymore. And given the vibration of that Chiron Jupiter square and Jupiter in your 12th, here's the thing. The final square between Chiron and Jupiter that will happen next year in July. So I'm a long way going. The final one will happen once Jupiter comes into Leo and Chiron is in Taurus. There's something about healing the past and letting things go, and the things that trigger constant insecurities that is being really brought forth for Leo risings with Jupiter in the 12th house. But this is a continuous energy that will not end until next summer, specifically late June going into July. So there's a lot of vibration about healing the things that make you feel insecure. And a lot of the focus starting from this new moon moving forward for y'all is going to have to do with siblings, home life, family, and in this area. Be aware of that. If you are the family bully, you're not going to like this energy, and you need to be prepared for that too, because somebody is going to call you on your shit. So there's that. Let's keep going. For Virgos and Virgo risings, this is a new moon in your second house of money, your assets, your stuff, money, ways that you spend money, ways that you make money. There's something new in this area, something new that can potentially cost you something. Now, the initial new moon energy doesn't feel like it's going to be very, very heavy. But what is interesting is that conjunction between Mercury and Mars in your third house. This can have to do with siblings. This can have to do with travel. This can have to do with your community and your neighbors. There's something about neighbors that I keep picking up on now with the Mercury Mars. But considering Mercury is your chart ruler, making a conjunction to Mars, there's something here about a commitment, a connection that's going to lead to changes in the home life over the course of the next few months. It's going to lead to a whole different focus. And it could be somebody in your surroundings, in your neighborhood, through your siblings. It doesn't have to be your sibling exactly, but like through your siblings, sorry, that's going to offer some kind of new information, new opportunity, a new path to start to unfold. And the thing about Mercury Mars that I get really stuck on is the fact that the South Node, the eclipse axis, is in your first house. And it's a lot of Virgo risings that are driving this energy towards change with the Mercury Mars conjunctions of the next 6 months. This is just the first one. In many ways, you guys are making certain decisions. And the best decisions that I can say right now for a lot of you is to not be focused on some long-term partnership energy, but more along the lines of how we get through the next few months. Because for a lot of you, the best way that you can get through the next few months going into next year is going to be having the right team around you, the tribe, the right friends in your court. You need community, not so much partnership. I feel like partnership is going to be a bigger part of the topics of what we start to talk about in 2026. But I feel like for a lot of you, there's going to be final tests in partnership that you don't need to add extra layers to. The best thing to do is to have tribe. It's to have the community. It is to have certain people around you, or knowing that the people around you are always going to be people that are more truthful. They can handle your blunt, brash communication in the ways that you do it. And whatever new is coming through, again, has to do with like a new information or new decision, a new filing, because for some of you, it's going to be filing that's going to open up a new path because we have the Ace of Swords and we have the Two of Wands. The thing about the Two of Wands is we've been going down a path for a certain period of time, and then another opportunity comes through. And we can choose, do we go down the path that we know, or do we go down the path that is new? There's something about that new vibration, a new path that will start to unfold. But I do mean start to unfold. It will not completely unfold. And in fact, there's going to be some messiness in the unfolding. It's not going to be a clean road. It's going to be muddy. It's going to be dirty. We're going to have some humps to get over. There's some trails. There's going to be some challenges. I'm not sugarcoating it. Now, these next two cards take me into the Jupiter Chiron square. Jupiter is in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues. Jupiter rules your 7th house of relationships, but it also rules your 4th house of home life, and family. And I feel like, again, for a lot of you to get through the next round of vibration, the partnerships that you need, the surroundings that you need to deal with whatever you need to in your home life, whether that's moving, whether that's helping mom and getting her set up, whether that is something else in this dynamic, whether that is finally letting go of a legal matter or finally overcoming something. The Three of Cups is a camaraderie card. It's a connection card. It's a fun card. The Six of Cups is like our inner child card. It's a connection card. And there's something that speaks to having the right people in your surroundings with Jupiter in the 11th. You need the right tribe to help you find your passion, to help you find your path, this Knight of Wands energy. You need the right tribe to help you overcome certain things. Now, that overcoming can be one of two things. That can either be overcoming something tied to a legal matter, tied to a relationship, tied to finally closing something else. We have this King of Coins energy. What I'm thinking of is Neptune retrograding back into your 7th. The fact that Saturn is always already back in your 7th, even though they're not playing into these transits, they will be playing into a lot of the rest of the year. So having the right people in your surroundings right now will help you be able to finally deal with certain things in regards to that seventh house energy. And there's something about the connection, the commitments that have been made, that they're going to be a big part of the testing, messy energy of the rest of the year, now that we're going to also have Neptune back in your seventh. Many of you are about to go down a different path, a different passion, go toward a different challenge. But to get to that challenge, you need the right people in your surroundings to help you reach that level. Like there's something about the right team pushing something forward, allowing something to connect, allowing something to happen. And this Mars Mercury conjunction in the third house, not being super heavy, tells me that there's going to be some type of like decision that many of you are making that not everybody's going to be happy about, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that we have to go through rounds of change before we can finally get completely into it. Okay. Moving along, moving along, moving along. Okay. For Libras and Libra risings, you are troublemakers. Not really. Oh, for the new moon in Libra, this is a new moon in your first house. Your mind, your body, your identity, you. A lot of you are going to be making the decision, making the commitment to do something new for yourself. The thing about that commitment is, for a lot of you, might cost you some money. Why do I say that? Because we have that Mercury-Mars conjunction in the second house of your money, your assets, your stuff. Now, there can be also something new that's starting around you that can be forced. What I'm also looking at is that Chiron Jupiter square, with Jupiter in your 10th house of career squaring said new moon. You might be doing something new in career that might be pushed upon you and might have a negative impact to your money. And you need to be aware of that. Some of you are going to be making certain decisions as to whether you're going to be connected to something moving forward, whether you're willing to continue to commit to something, or if you're going to have to make some level of change to go down a different path, to go down a new path. Now, a lot of you don't necessarily realize like the level of path that is coming through. A lot of you don't necessarily realize just how important your energy is going to be. There's something that needs to come to light in this energy that is going to test your resiliency. It is going to test your personal strength. It is going to test your vibration. But so many of you, you are the ones creating the test. You are the one pushing something forward. You are the one looking for a new part of your path. Sorry, your cards kind of got jumbled in here. So there is a decision in this vibration. So for some of you, the human effect is the decision was the few days before, because it began specifically Friday on October 17th. That is when the sun went through the square with Jupiter, the full opposition to Chiron, but it's still loosely in that vibration as we perfect into this new moon in Libra. This new moon in Libra will also impact the full moon in Taurus that's going to happen in a few weeks. There's reasons for that, but I'm just letting you know that you could be making a decision right now, or a decision could be getting forced upon you right now, that is going to have multiple levels of financial impact, given how the next few weeks are going to go leading up into that full moon in Taurus. The first Mercury-Mars conjunction is in your second house of money. The next lunation that we're talking about, the full moon in Taurus, is in your 8th house, which is also a financial house. So you could be making certain decisions. There you go, 2 of coins, to go down a different path based off of what information has been coming through. There we go. Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords. We should be making a new decision of something new based off of the information, based off of an opportunity to go into a new path, to shift gears, to allow something to transform. Either you are transforming something, or something else is going to transform you. Now we have this Death card. Now, the Death card is not necessarily death in the sense of like loss. It can also be the transformation of yourself. The thing about having the eclipse axis in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal, and hollow ground is y'all just kind of wrapped up that energy towards like that mini dark night of the soul that I was talking about. Like I started warning about it, back earlier in like July, August, like you guys are going to go through some stuff that's really going to test you. And now I feel like a lot of you are stepping into that different version of yourself. You're starting to feel the light on you a little bit differently. You're starting to feel your confidence a little bit differently. And not only that, other people are starting to see you differently. The Page of Cups energy. Now, I do still feel like there's going to be challenges coming through. I don't feel like the challenges from your guys' perspective over the next few months is going to be nearly as intense as it is for the other signs. I feel like a lot of you just went through a lot of intensity and now you've become aware of what needs to be released, what needs to let go of, what needs to come to an end with that death card. Here's the thing about the eclipse axis also being in your 12th. Mercury rules that 12th house energy. And we go into that Mercury Mars conjunction, the series of 5 that will happen over the next 6 months. Many of you are perfectly okay with the decision that you have to make to let some people go. It doesn't feel as heavy for you guys. And I feel like with the sun being one of the cards that came through for you guys, that you guys are feeling a certain amount of confidence finally, especially with Venus in your first house, that it is okay for all the new energy that's going to come through, but also recognizing that some of the legal perspectives, some of the things tied to other people, some of that vibration coming forward later on is going to remove certain people from your life. But a lot of the next few weeks, the energy around you guys is very much financial. And I think a lot of you are going to be okay with that. I think others are going to be just rolling with the punches, knowing that there's going to be some frustrations and even potential setbacks once we get into November. That doesn't mean it's the worst. We're all in different places. So there's that. Okay, moving along. For Scorpios and Scorpio risings, we are kind of the troublemakers. But some of us, we don't even realize we're being troublemakers. Some of us are going to get kind of blindsided by certain things. Like we said something that's completely normal, but somebody's going to like spin it in a way like against us. There's going to be one little bit of blindsiding based off of the new moon in the 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. But it's like as soon as that blindsiding happens and be like, well, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I said what I said. I said exactly what needed to be said. I didn't lie about a damn thing. And that's that Mercury Mars conjunction in your first house. So that Mercury Mars, we are the troublemakers. For a lot of people, we're the ones saying something. We're the ones that are deciding upon something. We're the ones really pushing some kind of vibration forward that's going to impact a lot of people and their paths. We are pushing something forward. We are finally standing up for ourselves. We are finally saying something because we want something to finally be done. New moon in the 12th house. We're tired of just jumping through everything. We're tired of dealing with everybody else's bullshit. We're tired of having to clean up everybody else's messes or being forced to deal with other people in some kind of way. In a lot of ways, we're willing to cut a lot of people off. Are we directly cutting people off in the new moon? No, but in the week around the new moon, very, very likely. Let's go with the first two cards. We have the 7 of Cups and we have the Tower card. Something I haven't really said to everybody else, but I'm going to say to us Scorpio risings, is this new moon is also starting its square to Pluto in the 4th house of home, life, and family. Tower card. After this new moon perfects, the sun will move into Scorpio and it will also go into a square with Pluto. And many people are going to see something differently in regards to how we connect to certain family members, something going on with our mothers or other members of the family, something going on in the home life. There's going to be something that can bring overwhelm based off of either members of the family or our actual household that is going to be almost blindsiding for some, but in other ways, it's like it's going to finally be able to be completed. And then we're going to be able to make some kind of cognitive effort to change something, to transform something. But in a lot of ways, that Mercury Mars conjunction is us saying something, us making the decision, us pushing some buttons, us letting people know that all the work that we've been doing, all the ways that we've been carrying everybody, all the ways that we've been dealing with certain things, it is not going to continue this anymore. We are sick of the bullshit. We are sick of this overwhelm. We are sick of things falling apart and again, cleaning up behind everybody else. We're sick of their drama falling onto our plate. And now we've intuitively been feeling, we have the High Priestess card, that there's a new path, a new way of doing things, a new chapter that needs to be followed. And this Two of Wands, Ace of Cups, we have to do something different. Now, for some of us, it is going to be something different in our health. For others, it is going to be something different in regards to our direction, our path, and our career, the way that we take care of other people, the way that we take care of ourselves. For some of us, it might have to do with our pets. And what I'm looking at is the fact that Mercury rules our eighth house, which is money, the 11th house, which is friends, network, clients, and colleagues, people we surround ourselves with. Mars rules our first house, chart ruler, one of them, as well as our sixth house of health, how we care for ourselves, how we care for the people, how we are of service, something in our routine. Many of us are making a decision that something is not going to continue the same way anymore. Now, we might get pushed into that with a little bit of blindsiding, but we also just might find like a very gentle energy of like, we can finally let something go. We can finally heal something throughout this new moon. And it's like what happens afterwards is this whole different round of our confidence that's going to come through. Because when the sun comes into Scorpio, that's the ruler of our 10th house of career and public image in the first house, while our chart ruler, Mars, is also in the first house, at least for the first part of it. There's a lot of attention and a lot of energy and a lot of responsibility that's going to be falling on to Scorpio risings following this new moon. But this new moon might give light as to what we are going to be doing for the last time, what we're willing to let go of. And if we're willing to put our foot down, again, there's going to be a lot of attention on us because we're stating a boundary. And not everybody likes it whenever you start to enforce your boundaries. Oh, they just think they're better than us. Oh, they're just being selfish. They're just being whatever they want to be, whatever they want to call us. And in a lot of ways, in this vibration, we are the troublemakers. And I'm owning that from the beginning. The Mercury Mars in your first house has the ability to make you very curt, very blunt, and some of the things that you will say will cut like a knife. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means it's time for these types of things to be said, to be dealt with, to be done. I need you to be aware of that. We are causing some troubles for some people. Okay, moving along. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings, this is a new moon in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues. However, that Mercury Mars conjunction in the 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings, a lot of you are now very, very aware of the rocky, shaky ground that you're dealing with. The problem with the Mercury Mars conjunction is Mercury rules your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, legal matters, but it also rules that 10th house of career. And so much of this energy is still following those 10th house eclipses, those Virgo eclipses. And for many of you, you're starting to feel an insecurity in regards to career. You're feeling an insecurity in your partnerships. You're feeling a level of insecurity that is really going to ring down your spine. Is it based off the new moon? Not necessarily. It's based off something else that has been a long time coming, that it's finally finding its way to the surface, and it's making you aware that something needs to be completed. And we start to make a commitment to ending something, to letting something go, to going into another direction. But for many of you, that direction is not easily seen at first. It's not easily recognized. And it's going to be very easy to find ourselves in a pattern of being stuck in what we're losing and what we do not have versus paying attention to what we do have. It's a very interesting energy because a lot of the next few months really kind of starting since Mars went into Scorpio, but I feel like a lot of you are very heightened in recognizing it now. There's going to be this energy towards insecurities that we need to get tested through, that we need to overcome, that we need to let go of. And for many of you, there's a lot of blindsiding in the energy because of how activated your 12th house is going to be throughout the rest of the year. Now, the thing about this Mercury retrograde that I'm going to include for you guys more so than anyone else is this includes Mercury going into shadow. Mercury's retrograde starts in Sagittarius. It starts in your first house. So there can be something that gets committed to here that very, very quickly you don't like, you don't agree to. You're forced to make certain changes that you were not planning. And for some of you, again, there's something in this vibration that speaks to being very focused on what we're losing or what we do not have, Five of Cups, versus what we're gaining, versus what we're overcoming, versus what is happening. Now we have this Ace of Wands, we have the Two of Swords. We have an energy that speaks to having to make certain decisions, but not knowing what is the right decision to make. But no matter what, regardless of, which decision we're making, there's a new path that is starting to come to light. There's a new path that is coming through. For some of you, you're being forced into making decisions and you're getting frustrated with the forcing of like losing a job and then being trying to figure out like, well, what do I do now? I don't have a job anymore. How am I going to afford everything? How am I going to do everything? And again, it's like the forced decision is putting you onto the potential of a new path, Ace of Wands, but as a new path that we are not immediately able to step into. It is going to take weeks for us to step into. Again, for some people, this is a long time coming, Seven of Coins energy. For some people, this is going to be the decision that is going to lead to, again, long-term vibration later on, but we can't immediately see that. Some of us are just very, very much wearing our heart on our sleeve with this King of Cups energy, wanting to be done with some kind of burden, wanting to finally have something taken care of, wanting for something to finally be complete, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's being completed right in this moment. It's more kind of coming through in a sense of like, we're getting close to a burden being overcome, but we're not done with it quite yet. There's something very, very different unfolding in this vibration. As we get more into the Sagittarius transits, there's going to be waves of insecurity and frustration that really push you to make a change. I feel like this energy right here is going to push forward some insecurities with certain people that you surround yourself with, insecurities at work, insecurities in a legal matter, in partnership. There's going to be some kind of insecurity as to how something is going to continue, that you either have to have really good communication skills to finally overcome something, or it's going to make you completely rethink the prior commitments because of the way things are unfolding. That's going to be different for everybody. But I feel like the insecurity in this energy is just the first layer of some insecurities that are going to be a big part of the next few months for you guys. And I'm being as clear as I can without breaking everybody down by individual signs. Okay. Or individual charts. Moving along. Oh, for Capricorns and Capricorn risings, this is a new moon in your 10th house of career and public image and your goals for the future and having some type of like vibration towards a path that is going to come into scope, but it is not immediately the entire scope given the rest of the energy. Now, what I'm looking at in this energy is the fact that your chart ruler, Saturn, is in a quincunx to this new moon. It is not seeing eye to eye. Some of y'all might be having some new things that are starting to unfold that you didn't initially agree to, that you're not necessarily supportive of, that you don't necessarily want to be a part of. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be doing everything. Now, for some of you, you just have to be the cheerleader. You have to be the support system for another person, for other people. And some of you are really good at that. Others, not so much. Because if you're not getting parts of your way, if you're not able to understand and put everything forward the way that you were overseeing it, then we start to question what the capabilities of something are. Some of you might be also having some issues with friends, clients, people that you surround yourself with because of this Mercury-Mars conjunction in your 11th house. The Chiron Jupiter square has Chiron in your 4th house of home, life, and family, squaring Jupiter in the 7th house of relationships. A lot of this energy for you guys is not your own. It is tied to the other side. Other people's judgments, other people's commitments, other people's connections, other people pushing some things forward. And for many of you, whatever they're pushing forward, again, might bring up some insecurities for you later on. It might bring up some stuff that you were not ready to face, but no matter what, whatever's about to start to unfold following this new moon, especially once we get into the Sagittarius transits, which is not far away, it is going to make you deal with a lot of things from the past. But this first round of energy doesn't even make you realize what you're going to have to unfold. Some of you guys push some things sooner than you should have. And the Mars Mercury conjunction in the 11th house of friends is going to make you realize that somebody should never have been more than a friend. It is going to create some kind of tension between you and a person that we've been surrounded by. And it might lead to levels of unfolding, but there's a disruption in this energy of you not wanting to be responsible for something or not supporting something the same way that you used to. And that can have to do with work, but this can have to do with a multitude of other ways too. But there's something interesting going off of the fact that this is a new moon in Libra. We have this Justice card, but we also have this energy towards overwhelm. So there's something very, very overwhelming that is coming to light that is about equaling the leveling out that playing field, about all of the movement that is already underway. Chariot card. Many of you are making the decisions that are going to have immediate follow through, immediate follow up. And for some of you, this is even going to be something that's going to either test your surroundings, test your assets, test your money. And I specifically now say that because of the rest of the cards being coin cards. So let's keep going with that. We have this page of coins. Let me pause or drop. Okay, you have the page of coins, you have the 3 of coins, and you have the 9 of coins. Now, the 9 of coins is doing something on our own. It's kind of boss bitch energy of pushing something forward, charging something ahead. And you might be doing something different, or you might be seeing someone else do something different that you are just not a part of, you do not agree with, you don't see eye with. And it's just a matter of like letting people go on their own. The 3 of coins speaks to doing a certain amount of work, moving something forward, pushing something forward. And some of what you might be pushing forward might be something that you announce to other people, but the announcements to other people might lead to additional insecurities and questions later on. You have to be open-minded in this vibration, knowing that as you start to unfold and release and tell people more and more about what you're working on or what you're dealing with or what you're going through or what you're initiating, is going to have feedback that's going to leave you questioning. It's going to leave you in levels of insecurity. And the thing is if you don't have immediate answers to questions, that's where the insecurity comes from, because you guys like to be sure when you're in charge of something. And if you're not sure about certain things, then there's a hesitancy. And sometimes you guys even get a little bit of imposter syndrome and you shut down in imposter syndrome. Some of y'all might get into some energies following this new moon over the course of the next few weeks that are going to push the buttons towards a shutdown. Don't be surprised by that. You might not put up with certain energies the same way, because there's going to be a series of tests that directly impact transit Saturn in the upcoming energies of the next 2 months. If there's a test in the energy, which there will be, and you start to feel that level of insecurity, it literally started right about here. Even if you can't see it right now, the energy activated it right about here. Okay? Super fun. We're going to keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Moving forward, we're going to get to Aquarius and Aquarius risings. This is a new moon in your ninth house, higher education, higher learning, the way you connect to source, the way you connect in faith. However, that Mercury Mars conjunction is in your 10th house of career, your goals for the future, public image, something in regards to the things that you're doing publicly and how people are coming together for it, how people are starting to see it, the types of feedback that you're getting, the connection that you're getting. There's something very specific about the people that you're meeting with right now that are going to help you going into the future. They're going to help you start to turn something around. They're going to help you overturn certain fears and insecurities. It's just allowing the right people and the right time to come through, and it is trusting your intuition. If you get too stuck on what could have been or the missed opportunities, then you're going to find yourself staying stuck in a pattern of frustration or betrayal or depression, but it doesn't always have to be that way. And I'm letting you know that there's something specific about the meeting of people, most specific around the 20th, because that's when the Mercury Mars is the most exact. However, we were feeling it all the way from the 15th until the 25th, which we haven't even got to yet. So there's something about that 10-day span of the people that you are meeting with, or the people that are coming through, or the news that starts coming through, that starts to really impact how you charge ahead with something. And again, there's something that speaks to helping you rebuild some confidence, even if you are not feeling confident in this new moon. Things are going to start to go in your way in a multitude of ways, even if that means cleaning some house with some certain people in your surroundings. So, okay. We have this Three of Swords energy, which can be a betrayal card. I don't feel like you're initially going to see the elements of betrayal, but I feel like if you have a funny feeling around somebody, if there's something in your gut, if there's something that's been going on that you're not entirely clear on, that is clearer than you're willing to realize. And if you would just start listening to your intuition, High Priestess card, you'll be able to quickly recognize who's on your side and who isn't on your side. And that's a big part of this energy. Some of us know exactly who's on our side. Some of us, not so much. We can really stay stuck in a pattern as to whether we're going to allow certain new energies to come through, certain new people to come through. Some of us need to recognize that the truth tells us so many things, and people's behavior shows us so much of our truth, of the truth of other people. People tell on themselves without actually saying anything. Actions are louder than words. A lack of response is a response. There's something in this vibration that we can be very, very stuck in a pattern of what risks we should or should not be taking. And for a lot of you, for you to step into something that is going to be more beneficial for you in regards to career and in regards to your public image and where you're trying to get your goals out, you have to start making very logical decisions, not emotional, logical, as to how you wish to be seen moving forward. If we have the Queen of Swords and we have this Strength card, I feel like you guys are like the fifth sign to get this Strength card. Like a lot of people have had the Strength card. It's been kind of crazy. So much of this speaks to the energy around when the sun comes into Scorpio. That's your 10th house of career. It's your goals for the future. It can be fathers and father figures. It can have to do with certain masculine energies in your life. But the thing is, it's like Scorpio in itself is not a masculine sign. It is actually a feminine sign. Even though it's a Mars ruled, it's a feminine sign. And there can be a lot of things that start to come to light. And I would lean more into the facts, the figures, the receipts, and trusting your intuition and trying to tone down emotional responses, because there is going to be something that starts to unfold and show itself in this vibration that we're not initially able to see, but really we could see if we would just step back and look at things more objectively. Again, go with your logical side with all these swords, like go with your logical energy and not your emotional energy. That is the best way to start to see the impact of something or someone differently. Okay. Moving along, moving along, moving along. For Pisces and Pisces risings, this is a new moon in your eighth house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, shared assets, shared resources, money, monies. Now, the Mercury-Mars conjunction is in your ninth house, higher education, higher learning, how you connect to source. It can have to do with travel. It can have to do with training. Some of y'all might be spending some money on some additional training. Some of y'all might be making the commitment, spending some money on some travel. You might not necessarily be traveling in this moment, but you might be on the Priceline website. You might be buying them tickets. You might be booking that reservation. You might be just scrolling and exploring and trying to determine whether you have the money or not. Some of you might be putting down a deposit knowing that you won't be spending the rest of the money until the springtime. It really kind of comes down to what the opportunity is here. But all in all, this new moon and the initial rounds of this energy, they're not in a heavy place for you. Now, the thing about Saturn being back in your first house is there are certain weights and certain responsibility and certain amounts of karma that are a long time coming for us to finalize and finally deal with. And many of you might be going through a lot of heavy spiritual energy right now as to what is being imposed upon you, and for you to be happy what you need to change. And being tuned into that is going to be very, very important for future decision-making processes, not the immediate decision-making going on. Now, what's interesting is Neptune is one of your chart rulers. And immediately after this new moon, Neptune will retrograde back into your first house. Something from the past, something very spiritual, something very nostalgic, something medicinal is likely to come back around. It is likely to come back into focus. And if you're not prepared for that, it might be something that you are rather blindsided by whenever it starts to come back around, because again, so much of this energy is in other areas of the sky that tells me that it has to do with other people. But ultimately, whatever is going on with other people always finds a way of falling onto your lap. It always finds a way of doing something different. Now, again, I don't feel like this energy per se is at a heavy weight for you guys, but eventually it is going to fall onto you. It is going to start to impact you, especially when we get closer to that second Mercury-Mars conjunction, which is going to be exact on November 12th. And I'm warning about it now. And there's something directly about this Mercury-Mars, the one that's the most exact on the 20th, but is felt between the 15th and the 25th. No, big window here. It's going to directly impact the next one. And the next one is in your 10th house of career. It is in your area of goals for the future. It is going to result in some changes of something in regards to how you see your career or how you see certain masculine father figures in your life that you didn't even realize was going to be happening, because this initial energy isn't in your decision-making process. In fact, you don't want responsibility over any of it at all. Saturn in your first house is in a quincunx to that new moon. I don't care to take care of it. I don't care to be a part of it. I don't care what you're doing. But you don't even realize that the decisions of other people are planting seeds, Seven of Coins, for what will be a long-term vibration that you're going to have to awaken to later, star card, that you're going to have to be responsible for later, based off of, again, the decisions that other people decided to make, and is going to lead down a series of new paths and new information over the course of the next 6 months. So many of us, it's going to be like a train station of stops of like, here's a pivotal moment, here's a pivotal moment, here's a pivotal moment. And which of these areas are you going to stop in? So much of the decisions of other people are going to bring forth different insecurities that you were not anticipating. And again, if you get real focused on what has gone wrong, you're going to be staying stuck in this pattern of melancholy, in this pattern of drama. That's going to be based off of Saturn now, again, being back in your first house, has been since the beginning of September. Over this week following the new moon, Neptune will come back into your first house, and a lot more energy falling onto you. But it's like, because so much falls onto your plate, once you focus on the good or what you have or what we can work with, then that new passion, that new path, that new information will finally show its way forward, because we have this Page of Wands and this Two of Wands. It is not just this new moon. It isn't for anybody. So much of this energy speaks to like there's a transition in the vibration, and the transits around this new moon and even the new moon itself feeds into future transit. It feeds into future energies. It feeds into additional things. And there's so many layers to what's unfolding that it feels like we're at a moment of making very key pivotal decisions, or in your case, other people are making very key pivotal decisions that you're not initially a part of, but eventually they're going to fall on your lap. They're going to become your responsibility. They're going to be something that you have to deal with, even if you're not dealing with them in this moment. So all in all, I feel like for you guys, I think you should be vibing. I think you should be okay in regards to like what you're wanting to look for, what you're working on. But over the course of the next few weeks, it's not going to feel quite the same. Little by little, there's going to be some additional responsibilities, or there's going to be some additional forms of pressure that start to fall onto you. And they're not all going to be new energies. Some of it's going to be old energy finding its way back to the surface, finding its way back around, that it's going to make you have to deal with something in a certain way. The other thing about Neptune coming back to your first house is there could be something else in regards to elders or medicine or treatments that we have to do one last time, or we missed something before and we're going to have to deal with them in a certain way, or it's like you have to teach someone else the best way to take care of themselves because you have so much experience in doing it. And for some of you, the initial rounds of what you will be teaching someone to do can start to show itself in and around this new moon based off of actually the Mercury-Mars conjunction in your ninth house of higher education and higher learning. Okay. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. I can't wait to hear how the new moon unfolds for everybody and kind of how this entire weird week unfolds for everybody moving forward. But anyways, I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.